everybody. Back to the old music. Hope everybody's doing good tonight. Oh, we haven't heard this for a while either.
Smoke weed every day.
Yeah. Oh, that wasn't even very loud, man. What the hell? Let's try this one.
Turn down for what? Turn down for what?
I wonder if I'll get a copyright strike. Oh, okay. Enough of that bullshit. Let's get on with the show here. Mr. David F. Townballa. I'm not listening to that bullshit. Turn that down. I still haven't figured out how to turn that off. I turned it off on the last version, right? Can't turn it off on this one. There we go. What's up, David?
What's up, Jim?
Jump down here and grab Lance Mussa. He's actually going to come on tonight, too, so... Vaughn's not feeling good. All your good thoughts toward Mr. Vaughn West, if you could. That would be awesome. He's got some sickness going on. They got a shit ton of snow up around his area, too, man. There's Lance. Doink. Get him added in here. And hopefully Jeff will be on directly. So I sent Lori to shake his tree, so we'll see if he comes on. Not Prepper Chicks Lori, the other Lori from Break Free. What's up, Lance?
Hey, man, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. What's up, Dave?
What's up, Lance?
What's up, Jimmy?
I think Dave was hitting on me in Facebook earlier when I asked him to come on the show. I'm not really sure about it, so I'm not going to touch on it a whole lot, but he made a lewd comment back to me in my private messages, and I don't know, it was kind of creepy, but we'll just drop it right there. All right, carry on, David. What's on top of your stack of stuff today?
Well,
you seem very eager to come on and do the show, so
I've already done two of my own. I did one Thursday and last night.
Oh yeah, I heard you went live on Cam Zone.
Did it Thursday and last night, so
awesome.
Well, I've been feeling a little bit better, so I'm getting a little bit of my energy back. So
good deal. Your voice sounds 100% better.
Yeah, it does.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I go back to the doctor on Thursday. I had two other MRIs done on my lower neck and my back, and they wanted to look at some stuff there, and they're going to give me the results of that, on Thursday. So we'll see what happens with that, but I'm feeling better.
Yikes, man.
Somewhat. I have my good and bad days. I've been on a good streak lately, so.
For whatever reason, man, I just can't trust doctors. I just can't. I don't know what it is. When I went in to get the arm sewn up after bouncing off the rock out here on Push Mountain, I just, minimalistic, do the stitches, whatever you got to do, dig the rocks out and clean the dirt out and whatever, and then let me out of here. I just don't trust them, man. I don't trust them.
Yeah, well, it's like me. I'm dealing with the VA and civilian hospitals at the same time, all together, man.
That's like, double.
One minute I'm going
demons.
to the VA, next minute I'm going to a civilian hospital that they're sending me to, and then they're getting ready to send me somewhere else. I think toward the middle of April, I believe, some civilian place, and they're sending me in circles, and I just don't try to think about it anymore.
Yeah.
So I've just decided to feel good. I said I can either feel good or I can feel bad.
You create your own reality, man. So there you go.
That's exactly it. And I've been doing a lot of spiritual digging lately. I have. I've been watching some good videos and stuff, and it's changing my attitude. It's like they say, when you're in pain 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you can either live with pain or pain can live with you.
That's right.
And that's exactly it. And not just the way it is. I've told Mr. Pain, I said, listen, if you're going to live with me, you're going to live by my rules.
Make pain your bitch. That's
exactly it.
That's right.
And that's just the only way you can think when you're in chronic pain. It's just, So I decided to feel better, man, and it's been working pretty well.
Good deal. You're in my prayers every day, dude. Every single day.
I appreciate it. And like I said, I know people have got worse things than me. That's just life, man. We've all got our own crosses to bear.
Yep.
We all get the cards that we get, and that's it.
Yep. How's your world, Lance?
Oh, pretty good. I just got back from D.C. Was at the rally today. Calling for gun confiscation.
Did you wash your ears when you left that shit, man?
I did end up watching it on TV. It's funny because I mean, the whole thing is just, a farce, but, control. You want to talk about
mainstream
control,
media?
Some serious mind control.
Yeah, it's the mainstream media, dude, that just hammering it and hammering it and hammering it. This David Hogg cat, I think David Howard said it best. He called him a camera hog, David Camera Hog.
Is that exactly that young skinny kid?
Yeah, he's running around saying "fuck this" and "fuck that" and "fuck you," and you fucking people don't know how to run a democracy, so we got to do it for you. Look, David, not you, David Hogg. We don't live in a democracy. If you pay attention in fucking school like you're supposed to, you'd know that this is a constitutional republic that you're living in. So if you want to live in a democracy, move the fuck out of the country. Just that simple.
Well, it just shows that public school system's working with their indoctrination program.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that's what it is. And I don't blame these kids.
I
don't blame these kids one bit for marching. I blame the parents. I blame the teachers. I blame
the teachers. The teachers have been caught on camera staging these marches. So I gotta. The kids, they don't know what the fuck they're protesting, man. They're just looking for a day out of school, and they're all going to run around and get their little 15 minutes of fame while they're on NBC, right? The teachers are the ones that are trying to get across their political agenda, and it's going to fail miserably. I promise you. Even if they pass a law stating that guns are now illegal in the United States, good luck taking them. Good luck.
They could never do that, but I mean, I gotta say, I'm for background checks on everybody.
Mental evals too, man. I mean, if you've had a brush with the law, if you've had a brush with the law, or if you've been Baker acted or something, and you've been evaluated by a professional to be mentally incapable of, or a danger to society or yourself, then you don't need a gun, no problem. But that should be on a case by case basis, not what Sheriff Israel wants to do and just take your guns without due cause. That no, there has to be legal process before your rights are removed from you. There has to be. You can't just willy-nilly take somebody's guns because you don't like them.
A criminal can always find a gun. They could ban guns, and a criminal would still find one somewhere.
Right. I mean, the whole prohibition thing didn't work on drugs. What? Sorry, Lance. Go ahead.
Oh, it's just like the bombing. You outlaw something, they'll use something else. I mean, he made all that stuff at home.
Yeah, go ask him how the gun laws stop violent crime down in Australia, because the stabbings and beatings and shit are through the roof, man. As soon as they took all the guns away from people, the break-ins and the physical assaults and stuff just went through the roof. They went through the roof. It's all in black and white. You guys can go find the numbers online.
In the way I see it, and I'm not anti-police. I don't like some of the things they do, and I'm like Jimmy. I'll call out a bad one when I see it. Mm-hmm. And what that one did the other day in California, they shot that kid 20 times. Man, all he had was a cell phone in his hand.
And he was in his grandmother's backyard. He was in his grandmother's backyard. I don't even think they have
he was
proof.
Breaking into cars.
Yeah.
They had no proof. They don't know it was him. And he reaches around the cell phone. I think 2 cops shot him 20 times or something like that.
The helicopter footage, I don't know, you'll have to play it back, and I just caught a little clip of it. But if you watch the helicopter footage, it looks like he actually comes outside through the sliding glass door on the back patio and walks around to come up against the cops. I don't know. They had zero proof that he was the one committing any crime, number one, and it was just a couple of fucking scaredy cops. You know what I mean? Scaredy cops. You run up on a guy in a backyard, you're gonna just fucking blow him away. They didn't even give him a chance to put his hands up. The cop was like, "Let me see your hands, gun!" It was just that fast, and they both emptied their fucking guns. Yeah. It was just, that whole thing is just farcical, man. If it didn't cost a human his life, it's not funny because of that. I'm telling you, man, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say 70% of the people carrying badges and guns have no fucking business carrying a badge and a gun because you are scared to death to do your fucking job. Or you have
so when it
piss
comes
poor
to
training.
gun laws and stuff, there's people with badges that shouldn't have guns.
Yeah.
Some of these guys got PTSD coming straight from Afghanistan, got the killer instinct in them still, and then they get badges and they go crazy, man.
Or they got little man syndrome from high school where they were the littlest bitch on the fucking, on the team and always got their ass handed to them. So now they got to get a badge and a gun so they can go back to their hometown and be a cop and kick all the other people's asses that gave them shit in high school. I've seen that almost all my life. So, it's just, fuck.
And then you got the good one the other day, then that school shooting over on the East Coast, and he walked in and shot the kid. Did you hear about that one?
Yeah, good dude. CNN called him trigger happy.
That cop did his job. The ones
Absolutely,
at the other
he
school
did.
were supposedly waiting outside. At least this one went in and did something.
I'm pretty sure that the parents of the two kids that did get shot in that school shooting are glad that fucking guy was there. Trigger happy or not. So, I don't know.
Cop,
man.
that's a cop doing his job.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Stopping fucking perps like that. That guy should become police chief for the...
Yeah. Absolutely. Or sheriff, run for sheriff of the county.
Something
That way you
like
got
that.
a bunch of power.
He deserves a big promotion.
Yep. All right. What do you got on your stack of stuff over there, Burr?
Well, Israel tonight pounded Gaza because they showed the video too, and it's four
Because why?
Palestinians.
Because why? A Palestinian teenager
Yeah.
threw a rock over a fence?
Well, these Palestinian four of them, come across the border fence with gas cans in their hand. They went across this trench to where this Israeli thing was digging.
Yep.
They threw gasoline on it, tried to catch it on fire. So IDF troops opened up fire on them. Didn't hit any of them. I'm surprised. And all four of them escaped back into Gaza. And so Israel's like, all right. So they sent F-16s over.
So they counter a 5-gallon can of gas with a 500-pound bomb.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's Israel for you. That's the Zionist cabal. Whatever.
Iran came out today and says they're going to build closer ties to Russia and China following John Bolton appointment. They're like, they don't trust Bolton, and I don't blame him. That guy's ready to go to war with them. And, that's the other thing. Let's talk about this John Bolton, man, that Trump is nominating to be his national security advisor. Taking McMaster's job.
We Are Change. We Are Change put a really good video out on him. Man, he's been screaming for the destruction of Iran for 10 years or more. Man.
Yeah, he was Bush's UN ambassador.
Yeah. Go ahead, carry on.
Well, he was Bush's UN ambassador, and this guy, he's been wanting war. He's a war hawk. He's an ultra conservative. He's been wanting war with Iran and North Korea, and to some extent Russia for a while. And he doesn't care for China. He doesn't care about anybody we consider an enemy, but especially Iran and North Korea. And it's dangerous, supposedly going into these talks with Kim Jong-un, to have this guy whispering in Trump's ear. Now Bolton went out publicly yesterday kind of laughing, saying, I want to squash all the rumors out there that I'm going to start a war. I won't start a war. He came out and said that yesterday. He's a Fox News puppet. He's always on Fox News, so I'm sure Trump's seen him on there a while back and liked his extremist views and said, all right, I want him in my cabinet. And I'll say that about Bolton. He is an extremist.
He has weaseled his way into the last 5 administrations in some way or another.
And this is going to be his top position he's ever held.
Unless he runs in 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so
you guys can pretty much guarantee now that we are going to go to war. We are going to, we're probably going to wind up bombing Iran or Syria. We're going to go to war because this fucking cat's in a chair now in the administration. And it's going to eventually lead into World War III. That's pretty much a given at this point. So
well, another big thing is this. What's his name? Mike Pompeo coming from the CIA to be the Secretary of State. He's a big war hawk too. Not as big as Bolton, but he's a big war hawk too. He's whereas Tillerson wasn't such a war hawk, this guy's a war hawk compared to Tillerson. And so, he has a problem with North Korea and Iran too, and Russia to some extent, kind of like Bolton, but on a lower level. And so he's coming into Secretary of State. So Trump just built a war cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
He
had one from the beginning too. He just kind of been filtering through people.
Mattis, or the Secretary Mattis of Defense, he's on an island now because when Tillerson was Secretary of State, him and Tillerson always kind of tried, they talked more diplomatic stuff. And now Tillerson's on his own. Mattis is on his own because Pompeo and Bolton aren't going to listen to him. And he's the Secretary of Defense. But I'm hearing rumors that pretty soon he's going to be leaving.
It seems as though everyone that had an ounce of common sense
is all leaving.
Is all gone. They're being
fired,
filtered out. Yeah, they're being filtered out. And anyone at this point, I think I said this on the last show too. I know it's been 10 days ago. Sorry, people. But like I said on the last one, I really got to convince myself to do shows anymore. This is just... Anyway. Anyone that's following the Q bullshit, if you still think that Donald Trump is going to drain the fucking swamp, this Bolton cat is about as deep in the swamp as you can go.
Oh, yeah,
okay?
Big time.
So anybody that's still, Trump's going to save the planet, fuck off, right? Fuck straight off. You're thick stupid.
And this Tillerson, if he leaves, Trump is building a war cabinet, and even Trump came out the other day and said publicly during a press conference, he says, yeah, I'm going through a lot of people, but I'm finding the ones I want, and I'm almost there. And he wants a war cabinet. He loves strongmen like Vladimir Putin or Xi Jinping of China, or even Duarte of the Philippines that brags about killing people with his bare hands, and that it's all right for Filipino troops to rape women in a war field. Telling his troops, if you want to take that village and rape those women along the way, that's great. Duarte has talked about that.
Yeah.
Here you got communist
somebody's
Xi
gonna
Jinping,
fucking take him out, man.
Communist China, Xi Jinping, and then you got Putin. That's an Orthodox Christian. Now, I still think he's got the heart of a communist.
Somebody's going to wind up taking him out. He's running his mouth way too much.
Trump that worships these. He's jealous of Erdogan of Turkey.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to be permanent president too.
That's exactly it. And he said one day America's going to have a dictator. That's what comes from Trump's mouth. Trump is jealous of these strong men that commit horrific fucking crimes to their own people. Now, I'm not saying our government doesn't, but compared to those other countries, especially the Philippines and Turkey, Erdogan and Duarte are fucking shit. Saying you can rape women, and Turkey wants an all-Muslim world. And these are guys that Trump looks up to. But yet you tell a Trump supporter that, bullshit.
He slipped a little bit of truth out when he was on the campaign trail, and right after he won the fucking office, he said, straight out of his mouth, sure, I'm a globalist, but I'm a nationalist too.
Yep.
Like what? Okay. Yeah. Open mouth, insert foot.
I don't know. And so that's an issue. So Trump wants a war cabinet. He looks at all these other strongmen and dictators, what they have, and he's jealous of the control. He wants control.
He wants to control his button.
To me, and I don't like Hillary whatsoever. She's an evil witch. Just along, and I didn't care for a liberal ass Obama. And I'm not a liberal myself, but I tell you what, man, going too far right is not a good thing either.
Oh shit!
There is a thing of going too far right,
mm-hmm.
And I think that's the direction we're heading, and that doesn't end up in a good thing in the end for America. Ends up us just getting destroyed.
Because the rest of the world's tired of how long have we been talking about this, man?
Yeah.
The rest of the world is completely sick to death of us being the bully on the block, right? Even the European nations are tired of all our fucking Nike T-shirts and all our bullshit, okay? They're tired of it. They're tired of the dollar hegemony. They're tired of us pushing our agenda on everybody, and we're getting ready to get cut off the teat. So that's the way I see it anyway. I could be completely wrong, man. I mean, you know, the sun might come out tomorrow and the clouds roll back and everything be hunky-dory, but I doubt it.
Well, Trump's pissed that we've got gays and transgenders in our military. And to me, if they can pull the trigger, I don't give a shit if they got dick in the tits at the same time. If they can lay down cover fire for me or anybody else, I don't see a problem with it.
Hey, Bruce Jenner does.
You know, I can understand where Trump's saying, well, we don't need to be paying for their sex change. And I agree with that. The military shouldn't be paying for no fucking sex change.
Absolutely. Well, let me play Lance for just a minute, devil's advocate, okay? If the motherfucker doesn't know what hole he wants to pee in, why would you give him a weapon? Right? If he doesn't know if he wants to be a boy or a girl, you know, pink booties or blue booties, why would you want to give him a weapon? If you're that mentally unstable that you don't realize that you were born with a penis, Jack, and you are a man, then I don't really think you need a gun. That would fall under the whole mental defect thing. I'm guessing. You know what I mean? Just say I'm just throwing it out there.
Oh, I agree with that, and I agree with that. But I see it to the extent where, you know, I understand if you're a man or woman, you consider they've got mental issues. I get that, but at the same time, you know, I don't know. I just think that we shouldn't be paying for no operations.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. We already paid for one, right? I mean, we had to foot the bill for Bradley Manning to have his titties in place.
Yep.
So, and now he gets to run for Senate or Congress or something. What the fuck, man? What? Okay. That's a completely different rabbit hole. We might be able to do a whole show on that one of these days, but no, not right now. Go ahead.
You know, but the deal is Trump doesn't want these gays or anything in our military simply because he doesn't think it looks good to the rest of the world. He does it makes him look weak.
He is weak.
He's allowing these girly boys in the military, and then it weakens our military. And maybe some aspects, maybe it does. I don't know. You know, there were gays when I was in the military, and I didn't have a problem.
You know what makes Trump look weak? Him acting like a 10-year-old on Twitter. That makes him look weak. Him threatening Joe Biden with an ass whooping. That makes him look weak. You know, the whole Joe Biden thing was taken completely, not out of context because he did say it, but like 30 seconds after he said it at the speech, he turned around and said, I really shouldn't have said that. So he acknowledged his own error, that he shouldn't have said something like that about the sitting president, and he acknowledged it to the crowd that he was speaking to. Somebody grabbed that soundbite, though, and off it went, babe. Off it went. And then Trump has to step up with his big red button and say, I ought to beat your ass. So that's the thing that makes Trump look weak is his ego and the fact that it's about the size of a 10-year-old's. That's what makes him look weak. I digress, though. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, you know, just I don't want to get into Trump, you know, but I'll say one thing I've been thinking about lately is these different women, these porn stars, this Playboy. You know, a lot of people say, oh, you know, whatever, that was on his own time. But the deal I look at is all these evangelicals that support him, that's saying that it's all right for him to have cheated on his wife with at least 2 different women while, you know, when he first got married. How can an evangelical stand by that and give a guy a pass? That's breaking a commandment, committing adultery. That's just not sinning. That's an ultimate sin.
Yep.
And yet these evangelicals are, we'll give him a mulligan. That's what they said on CNN. We'll give him a mulligan on this and let it go. He wasn't elected because he's a priest. He wasn't elected because he hasn't done anything wrong. He's elected to do stuff for this country. I don't agree with that, man. The dude cheated on his wife. I shouldn't say he shouldn't have to get fired over it, but what I'm saying is these women should have the right to speak. If they want to tell a story, let them tell a story. And Stormy Daniels is going to tell her story on 60 Minutes tomorrow night, and her lawyer's got a video of that was taped of him and her.
Stormy Daniels' story doesn't make a motherfucking difference in what's going on right now or the fact that Trump's in office. It happened years ago. It has absolutely. It's the whole. It's the same with the grab them by the pussy line. It has absolutely zero. It doesn't have anything to do with him being in the president's office right now. It's ancient fucking history, okay? You watch these people that are in Congress, that are in the Senate, they flip-flop every 6 fucking months on shit, man. You know, come on, man. People change, right? People change. He said something that was completely taken out of context. It was a chat room or a little frat boy chat with a bunch of people on a bus. Oh, fuck, man. You know, okay. I'm sorry. I rabbit holed again. I do that from time to time. I apologize.
You know, not what I'm saying has anything. I've not said that. Not that it has anything to do with him being president, but I believe these women have the right to tell a story. If they want to tell a story of the past, they should have the right to do it. You know, and it's like his supporters say, kind of like what you just said. Oh, but the deal is, I don't see how the evangelicals can say this guy's changed. You know, it's bullshit. You know, any guy that cheats on his wife is scum in my ass. Why'd you get married? You know, and here's this guy that gets married, his third wife. He cheats on her a year after they're married, right after they had their son Baron. And then after he has a big 10-month relationship with this one playmate, he turns around and cheats on the playmate with the fucking porn star, which is still cheating on his wife. And so I don't see how the evangelicals can say, oh, this man has changed. Bullshit.
And now Donald Trump Jr. evidently had a fucking around with some. That's right. Some, that's why his wife singer chick. Yeah. So that's all in the news too now.
So you know, it's not only Trump; it's even his own son. So why are these guys even getting married? Especially Trump. If it didn't work out twice, most likely it's not going to work out a third time. And most likely, he was cheating on his first wife with Marla Maples. Yeah. Well. And had their daughter. So this guy's a serial cheater. And if these two women want to come out and expose him as that, they have the fucking right to. And whether it changes nothing or not, it doesn't matter. These women have First Amendment rights. And they have the right to come out and tell a story. And if people want to take it one way, that's up to the people. And that's what this. That's one.
But I got to say one more thing, man. I got to say one more thing. Where were they when it happened? Why didn't they say something when it happened? Why do they wait till now? Why did Stormy Daniels
non-disclosure agreements?
Come on, man. Not all of them. Come on, man.
Yeah, all of them.
No, come on, man.
They said at least 6 women that they know of already got.
They say. Who's they? Who's they? The DNC? Who's they?
Lawyers.
Lawyers.
Stormy Daniels' lawyer claims that 6 more women have come to him.
Oh, okay. Like the plethora of women that came forward when he was running, and then as soon as he got in the White House, they all just shut the fuck up.
Cheater. He's already proved.
Absolutely. It has absolutely nothing to do with him being in the president's office.
No, and I'm not arguing that point.
But this is my point, though.
These women have the right to tell their story.
Absolutely, they have the right to tell their story. Wait till he's out of office.
I'm not saying anything.
Wait till he's out of office. You know, don't tie him up when we're about ready to step off into World War III. Don't have him distracted by 50 million lawsuits from stupid bitches that should have said something 10 years ago. You know, agreement be damned. Stormy Daniels took the money. She took the fucking money.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
All right,
I absolutely agree with that.
You know what the judge should say to her? Shut the fuck up and go away. You took the money. Shut the fuck up and go away.
That playmate took the money too.
Then shut the fuck up and go away.
Yeah.
Your morals are bought. That tells everything. That tells me everything I need to know about you. I couldn't give a shit less if you sucked off Donald Trump. I couldn't give a shit less if you sat on Junior's face. I don't care. You took the money to shut up because that's all you were interested in at the time was the money. Go the fuck away. Sorry, I rat-holed again.
And then you got that other one from The Apprentice that the judge overruled Trump and said that she can sue him. And so Trump's facing 3 lawsuits.
And we're getting ready to step off into World War III, man. So, you know, hey, sorry about your concentration.
And I think these women got pushed by the left to come out. I'll say that much. These women were probably bought up by someone in the Democratic Party to come out and do this. I absolutely believe that. These women just didn't come out on their own. They were paid off by the left to come out and do this.
More money.
Yeah, exactly. These women aren't stupid. They're like, hey, you want to pay me to come out and talk shit about Trump? I'll do it. You know, I've got a DVD of him doggy styling me. Here you go. Yeah. And that's what the lawyer claims, that he's got a full DVD of sexual things between this porn star and Trump while he just got married to to his wife, Melania. I'm sure she's just deeply embarrassed right now. I'm sure she wants to be anywhere but beside him.
You know what? I want to ask one of them lawyers, where the fuck were you when Bill Clinton was getting his dick sucked in the Oval Office? Where were you and all your morals about the White House and when Bill Clinton was cigar deep in Monica Lewinsky? Huh? Where were you? Where were you? What? Huh? I didn't hear nothing.
You know, there is a part of the left that wants Trump out of office. I agree with that. You know, and this is part of their agenda. And like I said, how in the hell can you be a sitting president under this much pressure and try to get anything done and think rationally?
That's my point, exactly. That's my point.
And so he shouldn't be here right now with all this shit going on. I don't think he should be sitting in the office right now.
You think they should just remove him and put Pence in charge?
I don't know, man, but I don't see how Trump.
You're all for impeach Trump?
I mean, could you think straight with this going on all around you? I know I couldn't. You got people fucking leaking shit out of the White House from your inner circle every day. You've got people leaking this shit out to the press. And you've got women coming after you. You're going through cabinet members like fucking underwear. How can you think it straight rationally and run a country? I don't care who you are.
I would never, ever want to be in that position in the first place because I don't think I'm a leader. So, I don't know.
No, but what I'm saying is this is all circling Trump like a fucking tornado, and he's in the middle of it.
These judges were they're getting ready to bring these cases and all. They can all put it on hold. They can put it on hold. They can put it on hold. They can say, okay, we've got your charges. You know, the case has been filed. It's on the docket. We'll see in a few years. Docket's full.
And then you got fucking Mueller breathing down your throat at the same fucking time. That's even the biggest thing, you know. And deal is that he's being circled. And I agree, there's a deep state out there, but I think it ain't the deep state that we talk about. I think Trump's part of the deep state. You had to be part of the deep state to be the president of the United States. Mm-hmm. And so you're not telling me when people say, oh, the deep state's trying to get him out of office, Trump's part of the deep state.
Yep.
You know, you've got to be. You either got to support the Rothschilds or the Bilderbergs to be president of the United States.
Well, that's another thing about the John Bolton. You know, if that proves that he is being told exactly what to do and exactly who to put in place, and Bob's your uncle.
That's it. There's a shadow government telling him who to put into office.
Yeah.
And it's a war shadow government. Their team, and I tell you what, these tariffs we just put on China, that set them off. Doing a sell by their islands again yesterday set them off. Making this friendship law with Taiwan and sending two of our high-level officials over there within 2 days of each other after China said not to, set China off. You know, China's coming out with some big threats I've never heard them say before, saying they're getting ready to pound us. You know, and then on the other side, we're pushing Russia. You know, look what's going on with Russia. It came announced tonight that how many countries was it? Something like 20 European countries and U.S. to kick Russian diplomats out of our countries on Monday.
Yeah.
You know, someone is looking for our destruction.
The rest of the world?
Yeah.
They just want rid of our dollar. Dude, they want rid of our dollar. They want rid of our worldwide influence on people, on governments. They want rid of us going around and bombing freedom into places that don't need us fucking around. That's what they want rid of. I don't think they necessarily want to see the United States go away completely. They just want to see us suffer for a little bit and go to the back of the bus for a while. You know, go to the back of the bus. We're tired of listening to your yap.
After this third war, we will be going to the back of the bus. You know,
we don't even have to go to war, man. All they got to do is collapse our dollar, and this will be a third world nation in a matter of weeks.
I think they want a war, though, too.
I'm telling you, the whole Trump signing the tariff thing against China and that's going to be bad, man. That might actually do it. That might actually tip the scale to where we can't recover, because they're going to slap tariffs on our shit now, the little shit that we do ship out of here, and man, okay. So anyway, tit for tat, it's going to get you in the fucking ground.
And in the end, the consumer ends up paying the price, literally.
We don't have the money to spend on it, right? I mean, this country's broke as a joke. So
I mean,
the people right now are bare. They can't buy any fucking cars. The car sales are in the tank. Home sales are stagnant as fuck right now. It's not. I mean, you know,
they're not buying toys because they're going out of business.
Yeah. Well, hey, Toys R Us, the head honcho over there donated to Planned Parenthood. He was killing his own fucking business, right? That's what happens, man. That's a completely different rabbit hole too. We might get into that later, but not right now. Go ahead, David.
All right. John Bolton came out in an interview today. I just now got this from Radio Free Asia, and he says that Trump-Kim talks to be a very short meeting if Pyongyang won't discuss denuclearization. And it's coming straight from Bolton, and he's already probably told Trump, you know. And then Bolton stated, a couple weeks ago, he says it's a good thing that Trump accepted these talks. That way, when they collapse, we have a reason to bomb Pyongyang. He said this just brings. He said he's glad Trump's talking to North Korea right off the bat because this brings the war closer.
You got to laugh at some of this shit, don't you? I mean, you just have to, because if you took it all too seriously, man, you'd wind up pulling your hair out. You just got to. Some of the statements that they make are just fucking. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
You know, and then Bolton talked about dropping out of the Iran deal, that six-party deal.
Or scream, I guess.
You know,
how long have the six-party talks been going on? The six-party talks been going on as long as Bolton's been wanting to bomb Iran.
Well, the six-party deal, I should say, not talks. It's the peace agreement we have with Russia, China, France, Germany, and Iran, that Iran won't make nuclear weapons. And that's the deal that Trump says was a bad deal. And so he wants to drop out. Well, the Europeans are saying, you know, if you drop out, America, you're going to collapse this whole deal.
Listen. For just one second. I sound like that little black kid in that video. Listen. Oh. If Iran wanted a nuclear weapon, I'm sure they could buy one. They
already got them.
I'm sure they could buy one from Russia.
I think they have them already.
I'm sure they could buy one from China. I'm sure they could buy one from anybody on the black market that wants to sell them one. You know, I mean, if you want to make some gold, that's how you're going to get it. That's usually how they're paid for, bars of gold, because it's untraceable. And I agree with you. They probably already have several, I'm guessing, in their arsenal somewhere. Anyway, go ahead.
But anyway, Trump is supposed to. What he told the European Union said, in order to keep us in the six-party deal with Iran, it's going to have to be stiffer, and told Europe that they're going to have to come up with a few more tighter rules against Iran for us to stay in it. And of course, Merkel, she's been running the whole European part of the deal. She said, you know, we're willing to put more sanctions on Iran. And she listed up the sanctions that Europe would put on Iran if it would keep us in the deal. And Trump looked at the sanctions and told Merkel they need to go harder than that to keep us in the deal. And Merkel says, she said, I could barely get consensus for these new ones here. I'm not going to be able to get consensus for even harder ones. And so Trump pretty much said, all right, I guess we're dropping out, I think May 12th or something like that. And Bolton's been coming out the past couple of days saying, you know, and he's not even in office yet, and he's already fucking mouthing off. And he comes out and says, well, he said, I can see already that Trump's going to be dropping out of this deal. I think that would be the best deal. And so he's already been whispering in Trump's ear before he's even in office.
Taking that advisor role.
And the bad thing is Iran even come out and said, well, you know, this is bullshit. Now we're thinking about dropping out of this deal. We don't care if America does or not. If this deal is this flimsy, we're not going to stay in it. And we'll be able to create so much pounds of rich uranium within a matter of days.
Yellow cake.
Yeah, and that's what Iran's really after is the yellow cake.
No, they're not, dude. Come on. Don't buy
And
the
then,
propaganda.
well, I believe that they want yellow cake, but not necessarily to create weapons,
They
but for
want
nuclear power and
They
everything
want nuclear
else.
power. Yeah, that's what they want nuclear power. They don't want to they want to sell the oil that they have so they can make money, and they want nuclear power to power their shit instead of using oil-fired boilers. So,
Exactly.
It's just
I don't necessarily think they want to make bombs. They want it to power their plants.
Yeah.
But the deal is that's just a big deal with Iran. And Bolton's, like I said, been wanting a war with them. And Iran pretty much said, well, if this deal falls apart, it probably is going to be war. And that'll involve Russia too, but
the thing that Jason Burmis did, the video, I don't really like Jason Burmis, just so everybody knows that off the bat, full disclosure. But for whatever reason, Luke likes him, and he brought him on at We Are Change. But I got to give him kudos when he deserves kudos, right? Even with his never mind, I'm not going to diss the guy. He put together an excellent video today, if you people want to go over to YouTube and check it out, about Bolton and how long that he's been a war hawk and calling for the complete mass murder of entire generations of people in foreign countries. So go check that out over at We Are Change. It's a good one. And it's not very long either. I think it's only like 10 minutes, not even. So I'd play it here, but YouTube's an asshole. Go ahead. I better not show you how to disassemble this gun or I'll get demonetized. Oh, I'm not monetized. I'll get taken off YouTube. That's a whole nother fucking show, and we're not going to get into that. But anyway. Go ahead.
But the big thing will be on May 14th, we're officially moving the U.S. Embassy in Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. I think that's going to be a kickoff of something big. I think you're going to see Hamas rise up. You're going to see Hezbollah rise up. You're going to see Syria, Iran.
Everybody's welcome at the party.
Some Muslim nations. Saudi Arabia is buddies with Israel now. I don't think they care anymore.
I've been saying and Lance, back me up on this, brother. Saudi Arabia, the House of Saud, is nothing but another sect of the Zionist Jewish cabal. If you take their turbans off their heads and look at them face to face, they are Bolshevik.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia yesterday, for the first time ever in the history, allowed a India plane that was bound for Israel to fly completely through Saudi airspace to land in Tel Aviv. So Saudi Arabia has opened up their airspace to Israel from other countries.
This is
the
not
first
good,
time
man.
ever.
This is not good.
Saudi just bought 1 point something billion dollars or $50 billion, $100 billion worth of weapons from us in D.C. the other day, like 4,000 something anti-tank missiles. So they're preparing for something. We just armed them to the teeth.
Well, Trump was asking him for $50 billion to fund something else, so evidently he just said, okay, we'll give you some weapons instead. You don't have to give us any money. Just buy some weapons from us, please. Because that's all we make over here in the United States is things to kill other people. We don't make a car worth a fuck. We don't make computers worth a fuck. We don't do anything worth a fuck. Maybe a really good pair of jeans out of Tennessee from time to time. But other than that, all we do is make destructive devices. Really good.
In the meantime, while Saudi just bought all these weapons with us, Jim Mattis, the Secretary of Defense, comes out with the story saying that he asked Saudi to end this war in Yemen while we just sold him all these weapons.
Oh, yeah, that was what the $50 billion was for, was to get our troops out of Yemen. Remember? That was on the last show. He asked the Saudi dude for $50 billion so he could get our fucking troops out of Yemen and bring them home. Remember that? That was 10 days ago, so check your Twitter. Anyway, go ahead. So instead of just giving us the money or helping our troops get home, we'll go ahead and give you some bombs and stuff. And then, yeah, okay.
Well, back to my original story with moving, to the Israel thing, moving the embassy to Jerusalem. I think that's going to cause war in its own. So you're going to see Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, a lot of your Arab nations And it could be something biblical. All rise up against Israel on that day. And they're already Hamas tomorrow in the Gaza Strip is having the biggest war drill. They announced this today. They're having the biggest war drill they've ever had in the history of them being around. And they're practicing a full battle attack on an enemy. First time they've ever done that. And so they're getting ready for this embassy move. And Hezbollah will too. And this is why we just had one of the biggest anti-missile drills with Israel that we've ever had last week for like 2 weeks straight. And at the same time, we were having a drill with Saudi Arabia. We were running consecutive military drills with Israel and Saudi Arabia. I've never seen that before.
We got a shitload of money to run these fucking drills, dude. We've been running drills since, oh, fuck, man. You know, whatever. Just spend it. Hey, man, you guys printed out of thin air, so fuck it. You might as well spend it back into thin air. It ain't just the
money aspect. It's the point that something's fixing to go down.
Well, no, why don't the people question that shit, dude? Why don't the people in this country that are paying their fucking taxes to this military-industrial complex go, whoa, guys, you're already $20 trillion in the can. Why don't you fucking back up on all these weapons, all these deployments? And you guys are spending money we don't have.
Well, it's like someone said today, why isn't there any anti-gun marches against our government for all the people they're killing overseas with guns?
I want to know how Florida got away with passing a law that says you got to be 21 to buy a gun when you can be 18 years old and go in the Army. And be given a gun by your government.
Yep.
So it's whatever. That's another rat hole that we can go down to. I don't call them rabbit holes anymore because rabbits are funny, fuzzy little cute things, man. And the shit we talk about ain't fuzzy and cute. So, rat hole is. Sorry.
So that'll be something to watch on May 12th when we move that embassy. I think that's going to be something big, and we'll see what happens with that. The story came out. I've seen it twice already. I've seen it yesterday and today from two different sources saying that our Air Force jets on Friday night struck a Syrian force that attempted to reach the U.S.-controlled eastern bank of the Euphrates. This is the same group that we blew apart about a month and a half ago that had Russian contractors in there and Syrian forces and Shiite members. The same group's been on. We're on one side of the Euphrates. We control one of the biggest Syrian oil fields in Deir Ezzar. The Americans do. We took it over. And Assad wants it back.
But
not bad enough to have Russia attack us. Russia won't attack us.
Because they probably don't want to set the oil fields on fire doing so.
Well, but I think Putin knows, and Putin's a smart guy. If he bombs us, it's World War III. And Assad won't do it because he's afraid of retaliation. And
we already whoa. We already bombed them and killed like 300 Russian civilians. I mean, if you don't want to call them contractors, you call them civilians. But but what I'm saying is, how did that not start World War III? How did Trump and his administration not get brought up before The Hague for war crimes for killing Russian civilians in a foreign country? I haven't heard one single person mention that fact ever since that happened. That is a war crime.
It is. And the deal is this, though, is, there's another aspect of this with us running this oil field is maybe Russia's in on it. And maybe Russia told Assad, hey, this is something that's going to happen. Because they're massing these groups on one side of the Euphrates, and every time they come across, we blast them. And we just blasted them for a second time yesterday. And they're not saying how many we killed this time, but all we blew up. They said we did the same strikes on a bigger convoy this time. And so it's only been two sources so far. I'm still digging for it, but there are two different sources that don't know each other that are saying this two different ways. So I'm starting to lean toward that this happened. And so you got to question yourself, is Russia in on this, letting us have this oil field until it's told Assad to suck it up for a while, or what? But like I said,
It's all about the oil, man. It's all about the oil.
Well, like I said, after we killed those Russian contractors, Putin should have reacted, and he didn't.
Because that's what he wanted him to do.
He didn't say a word about it.
He's not a reactionary kind of guy. He thinks before he moves. You know, he don't jump on Twitter and say, "Oh, I'll kick your ass," you know, like our president does. He thinks before he talks. He thinks before he acts. He's not reactionary. He's actionary.
So, you know, I'm trying to figure where he fits in here, you know, because like I said, the second group just got blasted again. So, you know, but why? What
more war crimes?
Well, what I say, first thing I look is what right do we belong in Syria controlling someone else's oil field?
Oh, because our NDAA that we passed in this country with nobody else's authority in the entire world said that we can go fight terrorism wherever it sneaks up its ugly little head, right? And that gave us the authority to go into a foreign country that we've been trying to get their boss out of office for 6 years already, and decided to take over part of the northern part of that country because of terrorists.
Yep, and Turkey took over a northern part too. You know, and I don't understand why why isn't Russia reacting against that? It's telling me that Russia's in on all this.
They're all in on all of it, dude. They're just playing their cards.
You know, that's what gets me. I guess Assad's like, well, as long as you can protect Damascus, I guess that's all I need. You know, I don't know, man, because Russia is allowing America to do what they want up north. Russia's allowing Turkey to do what they want up north. Russia's allowing Israel to come in once a month and blow shit apart. You know, if I was Assad, I'd be questioning. He must know that either I'd be telling Putin, hey, dude, what's up? Why are you allowing this to happen? Or Assad's content with just having Damascus and Aleppo.
Right.
That's what I think. He's got his capital, and he's got his biggest, you know, commercial producing city back, and maybe he's happy with that. You know, because I don't see how he's not saying anything to Putin while he's standing back, allowing all this to happen. What good are those S-400s that he's stuck over there if he's not using them?
They're there for a reason. This war's coming, brother. You know this war's coming. I think that's partly why Putin's kind of sitting back and taking a couple of shots here and there, because he's like, keep fucking around, dude. You're going to wear yourself out before the game even starts, because we're not deep into the game yet. We're into World War III. I saw somebody in the room make a comment earlier that we're already deep in World War III. We're not deep in it yet. We're in it,
missiles,
but we're not deep in it yet.
When the missiles start flying, we're in deep.
Yeah. But that's I mean, Putin's like it's like a prize fight, right? He's in the third round still, and he's like, taking some body shots and taking some, feigning a couple. He's like, hey, go ahead, wear yourself out, dude. He's holding back for the big rounds because he's a smart motherfucker. He's a lot smarter than Donald Trump.
Oh yeah, I'll give you that, man. I'll give you that.
Everybody wants to think that Donald Trump's this brilliant fucking. The guy's had to file bankruptcy 5 times, man. He's not that fucking smart. He's just got money. He comes from money, He's all about money. And he's all about being in the big club. And guess what? He got his seat, He's at the big table now, and they're telling him what to do.
Well, it's like I said, where's Trump going to be when the missiles start flying? He's not going to be above ground like we are.
Nope.
He's going to be deep underground with Hillary and Bill and the rest of them clowns just sitting back drinking champagne while we're getting destroyed.
And that's another. I keep hearing about all these 1,100 and some odd pages of indictments that they've got now, and blah 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 blah. Where's the pudding? Where's the pudding? Because I don't have any pudding. That's where the proof is at. I haven't seen a motherfucker. I got to give him one. Sarkozy in France got some shackles put on his ass a couple days ago. So that's a big fish. If anybody knows anything about Sarkozy's background, he's like a Rothschild little minion, right? He's been hooked up with that family for a long time and taken money from them for a long time. So either they threw him under the bus, or one of the big boys actually did get nabbed for some bullshit. And if you look at that guy, you got to know, when they get him in the interrogation room, he ain't going to last long. So if he starts singing, dominoes might start falling, but I'm not going to sit and hold my breath. the dirt that they have on Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and their foundation and the money funneling through there and shit, that proof is there. You can find it on the web, and for them not to be in prison already is just you know there's a reason. So there you go. It's the just us system, and we ain't us. Go ahead. Sorry.
I guess this just came out from the Jerusalem Post out of Israel. It says, U.S. House Democrats depart for Israel trip. Imagine that. Fucking says Pelosi and a delegation of 10 House Democrats departed for a trip to Israel on Saturday evening. Says the delegation is also scheduled to visit Jordan, focusing on global security and cooperation. You know, and Trump supports Israel too, so don't tell me that Democrats and Republicans are really against each other.
Did you see that thing I posted and tagged you in from Pepe Escobar about King Solomon and Donald Trump's little bitch, Kushner?
Yep.
Yeah,
Kushner.
That was something to read, dude. Damn.
And I read a lot of that earlier before you sent me that from some other sites, man.
Yeah, it's not any kind of hidden information anymore, which makes it even more, like shake your head kind of. And that's another thing that goes right back to the House of Saud being just a wing of the Jewish Zionist fucking cabal, dude. It all ties together. When you start looking from an overhead shot, when you start taking an overhead view of it, you can see how the spider web is all laid out, and it's just, the cards are stacked against us, folks. So you better get your prep on. That was weak. Sorry, go ahead.
What else here?
They're gonna have their war.
Oh, get this.
Coming.
Jimmy Carter was briefed by the White House on North Korea.
Yeah, he volunteered to help Trump talk to Kim.
Like a 93-year-old peanut farmer.
He was one of the worst presidents that this country's ever seen. Ever. Yep. And for him to volunteer his fucking services, yeah. Thanks, but no thanks, brother. Go back to Green Acres.
Well, 93 years old, you can't be as salient as you used to be.
No. He probably poops his pants 3 times a day now. So
they might as well, if they're going to do that, they might as well send him and Rodman over together.
Right.
So this just shows how desperate the Trump administration is. Trump opened his mouth too soon about this meeting with Kim because he doesn't have anybody in place to really talk. He doesn't have, the main guy that we dealt with North Korea resigned on Trump a couple weeks ago. Said I retire. Mm-hmm. Because he didn't agree with Trump's policy.
Well, who was the chick that left the administration not too long ago, too? She just up and left a young chick that was one of his PR people or whatever. Yeah, Hope Hicks. So they're bailing. They're jumping ship. I mean, I think those are the ones that were thinking that they were they had grandiose aspirations of changing the government and making it all make America great again. And then they realized that, oh, we don't get to do that? Oh, well, fuck it, I'm out, man. I think that's what happened there. For a couple of times, anyway. The rest of them probably just went, you're going to give me how much money to talk like that? Okay, I'm in. Because that's usually what happens. Guys run for Congress and they got these, I'm going to get in there and change the world. You're going to pay me how much? Lobby for what? You got it. That's how it usually goes. Sorry, I digressed again. My bad.
Saudi Arabia came out. What did they say here? They said, let's find where it was. Saudi Arabia came out and says urges Iran to stop supporting terror. And Saudi said, we do not need anyone to defend us. Whatever they meant by that. Plus, they're after nuclear energy now, saying they're not going to make bombs. They just want They want 12 reactors by within the next 10 or 20 years.
Where are they going to put them?
Saudi, I guess.
because they don't have enough oil to use. They want nuclear power.
And they asked Trump for backing if we'd help build the plants, and Trump told them, "Yeah, we'll help you build the plants when you're ready to go."
That kind of sounds like what Iran wants, man. Don't you see the correlation? Administration, don't you see that correlation? I mean, they're both landlocked. Fucking Saudi's not landlocked, but I mean, because they could do hydroelectric, but that's a whole nother. But whatever. One of them's bad. One of them ain't.
Boy, it works, man. Came out today, says U.S.
And they're
forces
both brown people, so that makes you wonder,
that?
doesn't it? They're both brown peoples, so it makes you wonder. Because usually we bomb the shit out of brown peoples.
Well, Russia supports one of them, we support the other.
Oh, that's
Chess
right.
piece.
That's right.
Chess pieces. Chess pieces.
Got it.
It came out today, says U.S. forces conducted an airstrike on the Libyan oasis town of Ubari today, killing 2 terrorists, according to U.S. Africa Command. Local reports the apparent primary target was the leader of the so-called ISIS Army of the Desert.
I'm keeping my mouth shut on that one.
Libya, we turned that place into a hellhole, man, and no one's done anything about it. It's just deteriorated into shit city over there, and we completely destabilized that place and didn't even try to rebuild it.
Not enough in it for the big contractors and shit. Guess Halliburton couldn't find any oil.
We went over and did it because Britain got 2% of their oil from Gaddafi, so Britain got tired of paying for it, so they wanted help to take it for free.
And they did.
They took it for free. That's all that Britain wanted was the oil, and we got it for them. Us, Britain, and France.
Yep.
What else here? Turkish army and its allies in total control of Syria's Afrin now. And so Syria controls Turkey controls a Syrian city now. They used ex-ISIS fighters and disguised them as FSA fighters and brought them in there and kicked the Kurds out. And while we stood back and just watched, the same guys we armed and trained, we just let Turkey kick the shit out of. We used them to our own means.
We were done with them. Yeah, we were done with them.
So go ahead, Turkey, do what you got to do.
Yep.
But then a lot of them that did get out of Afrin before this invasion went and joined up with Assad. So that's funny. Groups that we trained, that we abandoned, ended up becoming part of Assad's military.
Well, because they want Syria to be Syria. They don't want Syria to be Turkey.
Yeah, Kurds are still for Syria having their Syrian city.
Absolutely. They do want Kurdistan, but the only way they're going to get their Kurdistan is by asking Syria if we can have this little section up here.
Yep. So, patriotism.
Yeah. Yep.
And so I don't blame those guys, man. It's like either get slaughtered or go to Syria.
It's just like Spain and Catalonia. When the EU comes down on Spain, Catalonia's in Spain's corner going, fuck off, EU. This is our country. But they still want their own little section. So. Chess pieces.
Turkey's moving on to other cities, and I guess we're having discussions with them. Turkey wants us to move our special forces out of Manbij. We got 2,000. We've got about 2,000 there, and we want them. And Turkey wants that town, and so Turkey's like, tell you what, Trump, let's have some discussions over this before we bring in our forces. Turkey's like, we don't want to fight you, and we hope you don't want to fight us, so let's talk. And that's where it's at so far. They said there's been there's been some talks, but they hadn't. As far as it goes, Turkey still wants Manbij, the way things are looking right now. Basically giving us a choice, either pull out and let them have it, or they're willing to fight us for it.
2 NATO countries going at it over somebody else's ground. Holy cow.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that's where we got SDF forces, Syrian Democratic Forces, where we got a lot of our special forces embedded with them. And we took that town over, and now Turkey's like, get the hell out. We want it now.
We're talking about Jeff's favorite town, and he's not even on the show. Lori Gale, did you get a hold of Jeff? Did he say anything about coming on? Because he was salty that I didn't bring him on because I didn't do a show Saturday or Wednesday, whatever. So... Did he contact you? I'll wait to see you in the chat room. Go ahead, David.
That spending bill, whatever it was that Trump signed yesterday, you know, I watched him do that live, and he was all pissed off, like, I don't want to sign this stupid thing, Democrats, blah, 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 you know, and all this. No one's had time to, you know, he even come out and said, he's like, I haven't had time to read all these pages, things like 5 telephone books thick. He's like, I haven't had time to read this. You ain't telling me the Congress and senators had time to read this, but I'm going to sign it. And I don't want to sign it, and I won't sign a bill like this again, but our military needs to be funded, and $6 billion of the money is going to them. That's because he knows there's a war coming, and our military needs to be funded. And so I'll go ahead and sign it. Well, then it came out today while Trump was really pissed off because the Republicans as well as the Democrats snuck a bunch of Russian sanctions in there because of the hacking of the election, and this come from Republicans too, and put them in this bill, and Trump knew about it, and this is why he didn't want to sign it. This is why he threatened to veto it on Twitter a couple hours before he signed it, because he knew these Russian sanctions were in there. These were sanctions that he didn't want to throw on Russia. And so the Republicans and Democrats said, fuck you then. If you're not going to do it on your own, we're throwing it in this bill. And they threw it in the bill, and he was begrudging, but he signed it. And there were some tough ones too. And so, you know, we're poking Russia economically too with all these sanctions we've been throwing on them. And then Monday, Trump's going to turn around and kick out a bunch of diplomats along with 20 other EU nations. Come on now, man. You're asking for a war. And then we're turning around and doing this tariff shit and all this to China. Come on now. You're asking for a war there, too.
They are asking for a war. Do that all over the fucking world. They're asking for a war, and they're going to get it. That's what I've been saying.
Yeah. China and Russia's had enough. This tariff stuff crossed, and this Taiwan stuff crossed China's red line.
Yep.
And all these sanctions and the shit going on in Syria has crossed Putin's red line.
Yep.
And weapons we just sold to Ukraine, that crossed his red line 2 weeks ago. We sold, 4,000 or something anti-tank rockets to Ukraine, too. Just like we did to Saudi Arabia, we sold to Ukraine. And Putin always said, told us, don't sell them weapons. And we did it. And then Poroshenko comes out and puts in his constitution the other day, we will become a part of NATO within 10 years. Putin's like, that's it. I'm done. You know, and there's a war coming. 21 trillion in debt we just hit and climbing, and this new spending bill is going to add another trillion to it.
It's almost 22. Years. It's 21.8 something. Yeah. Last time I looked, and that was several days ago. So yeah,
they say they projected by like 2022 or 2024, we're going to be 24 trillion in the hole.
But that's not even including the derivatives and all that shit. If you look at the derivatives, we're way over $700 trillion in unfunded liabilities and everything. So yeah, that's the national debt clock is just a fucking drop as to what we actually owe. And China's no longer accepting any of our debt at all. No. So they have to rehypothecate everything and try to, buy their own bonds and so
China put out a story yesterday because of these tariffs that they're seriously thinking about selling US Treasuries. T-bills.
Yep.
Getting rid of them. Yep. China's like, you owe us $1.7 trillion, America, and you want to put a 25% tariff on us? Are you kidding me?
That's what I'm saying. That signing that tariff thing, that could have been the death knell right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, that could have been the death knell. Hey, Lance, are you still there, Lance, or did you pass out?
Oh, no, I'm still here.
All right, what's the bond market doing right now, man? Have you been watching anything on that?
Tanking.
It's tanking? What's it at? 3? Is it at 3% yet?
No, it's right below that. But that guy that I follow, that Schermeyer report.
Right.
Man, and the guy hadn't been wrong even 3 years ago when we were talking about it. I mean, he was still saying that it wasn't going to happen yet. And he's still saying it's not going to happen yet. But he said there's an increase coming. And I'm guessing it has to do with the war. But he said there's an increase coming in rates. It's going to go up probably 0.5% in one night. Could be 3 weeks, could be 3 months, could be a year, but it's coming.
They're supposed to raise rates 5 times this year.
That's what they're talking about. They predicted 3. They said they'd never get it up to the 5, but if it did make the 5, then
You could be looking at
you know,
a full percent and a quarter in 1 year.
exactly. Yeah.
If they just go 25 basis points in every raise, you know.
Right.
So, yeah.
But they're up.
That just makes the debt go even higher. You know.
I mean, they're up. Beginning of the year, you know, 30-year fixed rates were at, I don't know, 3.875, and now they're at 4.75. Yesterday, they were at 4.75 for a 30-year fixed rate.
Ouch.
Yeah,
but see,
that's
man,
full
think
point
back to
higher than
the
it was a while ago.
Think back to the 80s. I remember my dad talking about interest rates then at like 12, 13%.
Well, but here's the different correlation is, you know, the average price of a home was $77,000 when the interest rates were 12%.
Well, it was the dollar was worth more, man. I mean, be honest, it was the dollar.
It doesn't matter. I mean, it's still an amount leaving your pocket every month.
Absolutely.
So the difference between 12% and 5% on a $70,000 loan, you know, it's $100 a month, $150. Difference between that on a $300,000 loan, I mean, it would kill you. Yeah. So rates couldn't ever get to where they were before, only because everything would stop. I mean, it's not feasible or realistic because, I mean, again, an expensive home was $75,000 back in the 70s and 80s, 70s.
Yeah. If you were in a $150,000 home, it was a fucking mansion.
Right. And
so, yeah.
I mean, it was. I mean, I know we paid 50-something thousand for a home back in the 70s. I remember talking to my parents about it.
But here's the thing. Here's the point I'm trying to make is that everybody wants to call it inflation. Well, it's inflation. No, it's the dollar losing value.
Yeah,
it's the dollar losing value. So that, I mean, you have to look at the actual cause, and the reason that the dollar lost all of its value is because they kept printing more of them and putting them out, and that's exactly what happened. And the Federal Reserve is responsible for all that, and it's a private bunch of banks. Look up Jekyll Island. Google Jekyll Island, and you'll see exactly what happened to this country. It was back in 1913 when it all went to hell.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite saying, it's not federal, no reserves, and you know, not a bank or something.
That's right. Well, no, it's a collection of private banks, you know, that charge us interest to print our money that we have the congressional authority to do ourselves with zero interest. So there you go.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
That's when we went from being a country to a corporation. So, anyway, that was another rabbit hole. Sorry. That was kind of a rabbit hole and kind of a rat hole. I don't know. There was nothing really fuzzy about it, so rat hole.
Nope.
Rat hole it is. Go ahead, David. Sorry, I digressed again.
You know, China also said that these tariffs could cause social unrest in China, which they don't want.
Thanks, Lance, by the way. Go ahead. Sorry.
And, you know, China's telling us that, says, you know, you're going to cause social unrest in our country with these high prices, and we're not going to tolerate that. So, you know, China definitely doesn't want an uprising in Beijing.
Right.
You know, China came out today, their vice premier, and he said that China's ready to defend its national interest.
I would venture to think that even in a one-on-one with China, I think that they'd still kick our ass. I don't think they'd need anybody else's help. Just like if we went one-on-one with Russia, I think Russia'd kick our ass too. We'd be the first ones to digress to nuclear weapons and start throwing nuclear weapons at them. Because in just a regular like air fights and ship-to-ship battle, they'd beat the shit out of us. We'd be the ones that digressed to nuclear weapons and you know, did the Hail Mary shit first. Sorry, that was another digression. Go ahead.
All right, this just came out. It says Trump is considering expelling 20 Russian diplomats over the UK chemical attacks. So now they're coming out with the number. He's going to kick 20 of them out.
How many other countries said that they were going to kick out Russians? 20
other countries.
20 other countries. Okay, 20. I thought you said 23 earlier.
Or it might be 23 European countries.
It's just a tit for tat at this point, man. They're picking boogers out of their noses and flicking them at each other. You know?
It is, but this is a serious escalation.
Absolutely.
With this many European countries kicking, I don't think Russia's ever had this many diplomats kicked out of all these countries at one time.
They'll start calling them home. You know, they'll say, fuck all y'all, man. You know, if you don't want us there, we're out, and start calling them home.
Yeah, you'll start seeing embassies shut down in different countries.
And that's that's a huge prelude to war too. I mean, if your country pulls out their ambassadors or whatever, says get your butts home, man, we're getting ready to drop bombs.
Well, they don't want their dudes getting like beating themselves to death in hotel rooms and stuff like that. That's why they're calling them back.
Right.
Oh, and China wouldn't kick anybody's ass. China never ever won a war, ever, never. China never won any war, except against some Germans that were holed up on a peninsula out there somewhere.
What the hell's wrong with your audio, man?
Oh, I don't know.
Are you on a phone or something?
No. Oh, you know what? I bet you anything it's trying to use my dang headset. Let's see.
It sounds funny.
Oh, yeah, it is. Dang it. Hold on.
All right. Get that shit unfucked. All right, go ahead.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's absolutely better? That's better. Thank you very much.
Right. Sorry.
That other shit was painful. All right, man. You know, but I gotta add into that, Jeff. Never say never. Never say never. You know, just like the entire Cold War, our propaganda machine here was telling us that Russia was a backwards ass country where everybody was out in the woods with fucking axes and, you know what I mean, walking through ankle deep or waist deep snow, blah 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 blah. And they're not. They were working technologically that entire time, and they have shit over there that makes our shit look silly. So, never say never. They have cards up their sleeves that we know nothing about.
Oh, you mean the Chinese?
Yep.
Well, the Chinese as a people, they don't want war with anybody. It's not.
They don't want war.
They don't like war.
They don't want war, but I pretty much bet that they'd beat the shit out of us. Number one,
you know, if we have
I don't know.
If we have any war with China, I think if anything, it's going to start out as a naval war.
Yep.
It's going to start
a food war. A food war.
Well, but I think it's going to be a naval war. It's going to be a naval war over the Spratly Islands. It's going to be a naval war with the Senkakus. It's going to be a naval war over Taiwan because, you know, I was reading a good story last night, and, you know, Trump crossed the Taiwan one China policy red line with them passing that bill the other day. That was an absolute red line that's been there since Nixon's been in office, the one China policy. And Trump was the first one to cross it, and China's like, well, you know, I guess if you want to fight over Taiwan, we can fight, but you know, it hasn't got enough ships so to transport enough troops to Taiwan for a ground war before we can get over there. Now, they sailed their carrier down the Taiwan Strait the other day, down the west side, and Taiwan scrambled all their jets and moved troops up just in case. But the deal was, they said that China could beat the shit out of them, though, before we could get there. They said, you know, we've got troops over and stuff. You know, we got planes in Guam and over in Japan. They said, but China could get a jump start on us and just pound them enough before we could get there.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. By the time we got there, they'd be toast on the ground.
You know, and they said that's a main concern, too, is we're hitting China economically and we're hitting them militarily right now. You know, yesterday we sailed that ship right down those islands. So China's like, guess what? We're having military drills with our carrier start, and we're not going to tell you the exact day, but we're fixing to have full-scale naval drills over by these islands, America, that you keep sailing down. We've got a carrier over there right now, too.
They also control the, I think it's the, not the Strait of Hormuz, but they got like a peninsula out on, it's right there in the Gulf. They got a big ass base that everybody was screaming about. They could actually choke the whole Middle East off.
You guys know they own the largest port on the West Coast too, right?
Yep.
I mean, you know, when you say that we're hitting them economically, that's laughable, David. We're not hitting them with shit. They cut off the food to this country, and half this country's going to fucking starve because we get most of our food.
Like they said, they're going to tax the pork. Yeah. You know, and that's a big thing right there. They own a big. You know,
pork's unclean
big place here in America where they slaughter their pigs and send it. They buy pork from American farmers, slaughter it here, then send it to China.
Yeah, China imports like 90% of its food.
You know, I think, like I said, it's going to be a naval war, and that's how it'll start out at least.
Well, that's how the food gets there. That's for sure. all their food gets there by boat. So, you know, when you start putting tonnage to the bottom of the ocean, generally people start breaking out their pocket battleships.
Putin will step up. Putin will feed those
China's
people.
got one of the biggest underwater nuclear bases, too. You know, they've got a lot more nuclear subs than us. That's a fact.
I'm sure that these little meetings between Putin and Xi Jinping, I'm sure that they've been discussing all this amongst themselves, too. You know, hey, when this shit kicks off, dude, we're going to need a couple of freighters full of food.
That's it. You're going to see China, you're going to see Russia, you're going to see North Korea, you're going to see Iran, and it's going to be a four-pronged attack right at us.
Yeah.
Hey, why did Russia stop their Silk Road on their eastern border? I mean, why did that come to a dead halt? Why did Russia stop that?
I have no idea. None.
Tell us, Jeff. Tell us, Jeff.
I don't know. I mean, it was a big question mark to me when I heard about it. I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. And then I was watching, it was like I don't know what kind of documentary. I was subscribed to like the RT channels with the funny scribbling looking writing. But a lot of their crap is in English. You just got to watch it. And they were talking about they were showing like where coming out of China, going into Russia, where the Silk Road is, their design of the Silk Road, it's like a massive infrastructure on the China side, and on the Russian side, it's like a potholed one-lane fucking road. and they said that Russia ain't helping them. They're kind of butting heads with them over it. Kind
of like the Alcan Highway. Kind of like the Alcan Highway. They had to be coerced into finishing it across Canada because Canada didn't want to spend the money on it. They thought it was a waste of time.
Something. It's got, or it's older than that. I think maybe it's an older problem than that. Like maybe China and Russia aren't really the friends everybody thinks that they are.
Oh, sure. They're all in the big club, dude. They're all in the big club. They all wear the same silly robes and stuff when they join up at those meetings and whatever. The whole world, anybody that's a world leader, dude, they're all in the big club. They're all in, because they all have banks, they all have central banks, and all those central banks lead right back to the same collection of people.
Yeah, so then by the same token, Russia should have a 8-lane highway paved right up to their. That's what I'm saying. If they're all in the same club and they're all hitting for the same team and all that,
they haven't got around to it yet. They haven't got around to it.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, they got airplanes and stuff. There's a lot of stuff they do that doesn't make any sense at all. So
well, I know that China
don't get stuck on the minutia.
Was a big part of the pipeline deal that was supposedly going from Syria to where the hell was it? It was from Syria back up into Russia. They were trying to make a new pipeline to reroute from Ukraine to get their gas going in a different direction. And I think the Chinese had something to do with that, but I can't remember because they chemtrailed the shit out of me for the last year or something. I don't remember nothing. My memory sucks now.
I know, me too. I'm reading the chat room. Sorry, I'm not responding. I'm just reading the chat.
What do you think, Dave?
You know, like I said, it's all wars are over control and land and resources. You know, you just don't have a war and not have nothing to fight for.
How you feeling today?
I'm feeling all right. Feeling better. Thanks for asking.
He was pretty frisky in Facebook. I'll tell you that much.
Frisky.
Yeah. Well, that's private conversation. Go ahead. He was making a pass at me, is what I think.
I sent Jimmy some dick pics.
He can.
I hate it when he does that.
I'm not even going to touch it, dude. I'm not even going to touch it. Okay.
It's so small.
Is that a pinky ring on there? All right. Next story on your stack of stuff.
This just came out from Political. It says Mattis has ignored McMaster's request for military options that would have allowed the U.S. to strike eastern Ghouta in Syria, as well as requests to see plans on North Korea and 2 requests for options to strike Iran. And so, this is why McMaster's going to be out and Bolton's going to step in, and Bolton's going to be like, I want those plans.
When's that transition supposed to take place, too, by the way?
Sometime in April.
I smell yellow cake.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we were talking about that earlier. Go ahead.
Say, didn't we just now give them a humanitarian corridor to get all their ISIS families out of Ghouta, and they had a big old train of vehicles, and they had drones. I was sitting there watching it live, and they got all the ISIS guys. Now, why do they need to bombard Ghouta now?
Well,
Ghouda's already looks like a sieve.
It's too late anyway. There's only 10% of it held by the world. That's where all of our rebels were, and that they were fighting for us, a lot of them. And the deal is now there's only 10% of the city left, so it's too late to hit it now. So that's pretty much out of the question. So now the West has got to come up with another reason to go after Assad. Maybe they keep talking. Russia keeps saying that they've got detailed information that our rebels were going to stage a false flag chemical attack over there. And you've had Haley come out the past couple weeks. You've had Francois of Holland come out, or France, Holland of France come out the past couple days.
Francois Hollande.
Saying that, if there's any chemical attacks anymore over there, that France is going to strike Damascus, that we're going to strike Damascus. Russia's been putting out since last weekend that we were getting ready to strike with cruise missiles, and we haven't done it yet. And I think it's simply because Russia got the word out. Some people may argue against that, but I don't think this was a made-up story. And it's been going around for 10 days now that Russia keeps saying that we're going to strike Damascus, and we haven't yet. So people are like, "Oh, fake news! Someone's making." And the deal is, I think it's because
we're busy trying to get all these weapons we sold to Saudi Arabia over there to them, so they can use them
for the $50 billion.
50 B-1 bombers, 63 nuclear big boy bombs, 72 F-35s that still don't crank up. We got one battleship. Who says? Did you see that thing? That was ridiculous.
But the deal is we still want Assad gone, and Russia's the only thing preventing it. And so we still haven't gave up that fight yet, and we're still saying that we still want Assad gone, even though Trump's trying to act like he's not. The people above him still want Assad gone. And so, there was a story that came out, a real good story yesterday. I'll put a link in the room. Everybody should get a chance to read this. It's kind of long, but I'll put it in the room here.
Okay.
I think Assad's just waiting for his wife to say, I want you to pack your bags and go.
Well, this is kind of a one point in there. It says, what is becoming clear is that the U.S. and its Western allies are laying the groundwork for a massive war, perhaps a world war with Eurasia and its allies in the Middle East. It says, with the appointment of Bolton on the same day as Trump signed the first trade action against China, and he emphasized it was the first of many, the signs are very clear. Since the West is going to war with the East, the likely initial targets are Syria and Iran. Any attack on Iran is a declaration of war on Russia. Iran, after all, is not just an important ally to Russia, but it sits right on the border with Russia. In other words, Russia would be pulled into such a war out of self-defense if for no other reason. And that's what I see shaping up too.
I think they're done losing Su-35s. I think they're done. They're done. Not shooting other people down in declared airspace that belongs to Syria. I think they're going to have some hard times if we try to go into Iran through Syria. That Syria's already toast. It's just a defensive point now. It's not a place of super infrastructure or whatever. I mean, you got the Israelis illegally pumping all their oil out of the Golan Heights. You got ISIS pumping all the oil out of it.
It's a keystone.
I mean, I don't think Syria is actually selling oil on the market anymore. But
It's a keystone, though. It's a keystone in that area of the world, and we're not going to.
It is. It is. It's the path to Iran.
Yeah.
You got to go through Yemen, Syria to get to Iran from the sea.
Yep.
Or if you want to make a land invasion, you can come in through Turkey. I don't think Turkey's going to go for it.
No.
I think Turkey will let them use insular.
Not unless you. Well, I mean, if you pay Erdogan a lot of money, I'm sure he'll let you do whatever the fuck you want to do, because that's all he cares about, really, is money and power. But yeah, he'd probably let you make the invasion through his territory if you used his weapons and tanks and stuff and bought them off of him and stuff. Yeah. Evidently, Saudi Arabia.
The story came out about, they were trying to get all of our troops out of Yemen. Mm-hmm. And everybody was like, well, why are all our troops and why are all these fucking troops in Yemen? It's because they were prepared to go through Syria to get to Iran. They're going to steamroll the whole thing. That was their plan the whole time. It's always been their plan. Wesley Clark said that's their plan.
That's named why we gave Saudi so many bombs and stuff.
He got them all. He knows what the fuck they were doing.
That's why Saudi got all the bombs and stuff, to soften them up, try to make that an easy transfer.
They keep shifting all these ISIS guys back and forth and back and forth. They never seem to get wiped out. You just see
Russia was doing a pretty good job.
Whooped, and then they move them out.
Yeah, Russia was doing a pretty good job of handing their ass, and then we had to get them the fuck out of there. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, why haven't we caught Baghdadi yet, the leader of ISIS? You hear he's dead. You hear he's wounded. You hear he's missing in action.
He's been dead 4 times or something, hasn't he?
It's the Bin Laden story.
No, I'm serious. I mean, I remember at least 2 or 3 different stories of them killing him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
not just him, but all of the top Al Nusra guys, all the top Al Qaeda guys.
No, but one specific.
From starting in Iraq, man, they started doing that crap back there in Iraq.
It's a good thing they didn't put out a deck of cards like they did for Iraq. Yeah, we're trying to get all the people in the Iraq war. Because
this is what confused me about this Baghdadi. We've declared he's been dead. Syria's declared he's been dead before. Russia's even declared a couple times that they killed him. But yet, then you hear reports coming out, oh, no, he's just heavily wounded, and he's over in this town hiding out, and he's in this town hiding out.
Eye surgery in Sweden. And
why is Russia going to lie, too, about him being dead?
Because they're all with the same club.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm saying this is why Russia hasn't done anything about America taking over this oil base in Syria. Russia's in on it. Russia's probably going to get some of the profits from it.
They'll definitely get their pipeline, in the ground without it getting destroyed by ISIS guys.
Oh yeah.
Well, we're controlling one of the biggest oil facilities in Deir ez-Zor, Syria, over there. And the deal is, Russia, I think we told Russia we'll give you a piece of the pie if you let us have this, man.
Michael Jones said the Baghdadi thing's the Mandela effect.
Well, you'll notice that you never see any videos of oil rig or refinery stuff getting bombed and knocked off. You never see. You just see
not
the
since Russia
infrastructure
got
where
in
the
there.
people live.
Not since Russia got in there. They were fucking some shit up before Russia put boots on the ground there.
That was only when they were getting their asses run out of the area that they was in. That was back when they were pumping oil out of the southern part of the Golan Heights
selling it to Erdogan
back up into Turkey.
Yeah, and selling it to Erdogan. Yep. But that hadn't gone on since Russia put boots on the ground.
But
and I'm willing to bet
the only time they were lighting shit on fire behind them. Everything else, isn't it funny, man? They absolutely leveled cities, whole cities, laid waste to them.
Damascus was part of it, man.
You don't see no fucked up oil rigs out there.
The only part of Damascus that's still standing is around the fucking presidential palace, man. That's the only part of Damascus that hasn't been razed to the ground. But I'm betting you
got pretty beat up back from 1990 when they had their civil war. Though Damascus was in kind of shambles back from their own civil war. A lot of this crap was kind of fucked up before we ever got there. But
there was drone footage of them going through that city with tanks just blowing holes through buildings and shit, dude. I mean,
sure,
yeah. So it has been razed to the ground pretty much.
Yes.
And here's another thing. I don't know if anybody's ever said anything about this or not, but. Talking about the Russian contractors for just a second. Most of the time, and I'm victim of it as well. When I heard the word Russian contractors, I was thinking Blackwater, right? I was thinking something like that, like a bunch of mercenaries or whatever. What if those Russian contractors were there establishing the pipeline? What if they were there starting the dig?
Well, they've been there for a long time. The only thing that prohibited the pipeline deal from going through was their own civil war in that country. And that's why Russia had to back off of them. That was back in the early 90s when they were first talking about the big pipeline that they wanted to run down through Syria, and that's at the same time Syria was having their own civil war kick up. Now, whether that civil war was U.S. initiated crap,
I'm pretty sure it was. You know, we've been trying to kill Assad for 7 years almost now. Where'd you go, Jeff?
Oh, I'm right here.
Oh, okay.
Well, I was just thinking, I mean, the Syria civil war, to me, in retrospect, looking at it, it looked pretty realistic as far as a real civil war. If you look at how they walked, talked, and dressed from 1970 all the way up to 1990, and then everything wanted to go backwards in time or something, you can see where people would say, well, hell no. You know, when you got women that ain't had to wear a burqa in 25 years, all of a sudden now they got to start wearing a burqa and shit. And they're like, fuck no. Right. You tell that son bitch I ain't wearing my burqa. You know, they was all walking around in high heels and dresses and stuff like that. What's wrong? What I did?
Uh-oh.
Snowing.
The wife
came out here grabbing a flashlight. She's checking for snow.
They were getting dumped on up in my home state earlier. Man, it's 8 inches of snow in some areas. Oh, man. I'm so glad I moved out of that fucking shithole.
That's the reason why Turkey don't even like fucking Syria is because Syria went full-blown Western ideology for a long time, man. I mean, they was
Assad's
all about what we were doing, man. They had their own soul train.
Assad's an Alawite. That's why, that's why Syria got along with so well with the rest of the world is because they weren't backwards ass.
Right.
So there you go. Anyway, we kind of rabbit holed on that one too. So
yeah,
let's move on. David, what's going on? We got 20 minutes to fill.
Let me find this story here.
It's snowing. Oh my God, it's snowing.
Oh my God.
She's a snow bunny.
Uh-oh. Go ahead, David.
This came out today and says the Department of Justice eyes requiring tech companies to build tools into smartphones to allow government access to encrypted data. That came up from the New York Times tonight.
Read that again.
It says the Department of Justice eyes requiring tech companies to build tools into smartphones to allow government access to encrypted data. And, this is scary. And it's from New York Times. And also another story came out tonight. It says the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the U.S. Department of Justice have resumed the discussion on technical and legal opportunities to access encrypted data from mobile phones and other gadgets. And it says the employees of the two agencies met with cybersecurity experts to find out whether it is possible to install software that would allow U.S. authorities to view encrypted data on users' devices, the New York Times reported. As following the talks, officials concluded that such a mechanism could be created and asserted that it would not make smartphones more vulnerable to hackers.
Don't update your phones ever again.
Wait a second. I thought that every computer and chip manufactured since 1993 had a backdoor built into it, because the U.S. government said that all these chip manufacturers had to give them a backdoor. Now, maybe I'm in one of these black Korean memory holes or something. What's going on?
No, you're right. You're right. They're talking about smartphones here, not computers.
Well, smartphones had the same
use the
kind
same
of chips
shit, dude. They use the same software chip
version. It was a different version. And, I've always thought the government can get into your phone regardless of what this story says. If they want in their back.
The manufacturers have a back door to get into the phone if they want to.
Yeah,
so it doesn't matter.
Just do it.
It doesn't matter. The software is already in the phone. If it's not in the software, it's already in the hardware.
The deal is they're just throwing it in people's faces now so they can make it legal.
Right.
They're going to wait
and give them something else to talk about too, instead of talking about Trump and whatever the fuck, World War III. That was
part of the bill that he just now signed was on the tech companies having to give access to all law enforcement or government agencies at a whim without having to have a FISA warrant or anything.
You guys remember a couple years ago talking about a data collection center in Utah that the NSA was building and had been implemented in all the trunk lines for the United States? Every electronic communication ever brought into or out of this country or even intra-country goes through that data collection center. So this is all moot stuff that we're talking about right now. They have everything that they want from you already.
Yeah, it's like your car just got stolen and you're watching the guy drive off with it, but you're screaming to tell him to roll the window up because it's raining.
Right. So this is all just distraction. It's part of the distraction. They're getting ready to take us to war, and they're going to throw everything they can at the wall to get people to not blame the banks for doing all this shit.
Or just confuse everybody, period.
Yep.
You know? Same old. Hell, people, I don't even know what the hell we're going to do. Most people can't even identify as to what kind of biological creature they are, much less what side of anarchy they're on.
Yeah. We've been reduced to a bunch of Tide Pod eaters that don't know what pee hole to use. So.
I identify as a patriarch.
And screaming.
Y'all can call me His Majesty.
And we have the up-and-coming generations screaming at the top of their lungs for the government to take rights away from them. So there you go.
Damn, black
Don't quote Alex Jones in my chat room, Standing Stones. That is sacrilege, man. Do not quote AJ in my motherfucking chat.
What was the quote?
Prison Planet.
Planet,
like
yes.
AJ says.
Very prophetic. Yet we're the only one with big time prisons and black prisons, and hell, they're proud of the prison handlers that we had. We made one of them like the Secretary of Indiana or something like that. I forget, but she was part of the secret Abu Ghraib type jailhouses. Probably spent her days like putting zip ties around guys' private parts or something.
Yeah. Like the one chick, the guy was standing there with a burlap bag over his head and the zip tied up and shit, and she was grabbing his junk or pointing at his junk or whatever, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And let me tell y'all something. Don't never forget this. All this shit that they're doing right now, they're doing it while we're completely armed to the tooth. It's the most in-your-face crap. Doesn't matter where you turn, where you look. It's just a bunch of crap everywhere. It says war all over it. If we know anything about history, we know what they're doing. They're cranking a... I mean, it doesn't matter whether... It doesn't even matter who strikes first anymore. To me, the way the United States act, they don't even care what they do. It's like...
They're running out of shit. That's what happens.
If they got to bomb a baby hospital in Ukraine, by God, they'll do it. I mean, it's insane.
They can't. The distractions are running out, right? They don't have any more distractions. People aren't falling for their bullshit as much as they used to anymore. And I think it's Gerald Celente quoted as saying, "When they run out of other stuff, they take you to war. You know, when there's nothing else for them to throw at you, then they take you to war."
Did
That's
Russia
exactly
already
what
cut off the spigots to Europe to Ukraine on its pipeline?
I have no idea.
On the natural, or they probably didn't because they ain't got no way to really store it.
David, do you know? Has he
I
cut off the gas?
haven't heard anything on that. I know the fighting's really picked up on the front lines there in eastern Ukraine the past couple weeks.
Yep.
It just seems like after the Skripal stuff, the poisoning, and Russia did it. Now that they're still already behind on their freaking $1 billion gas bill.
I still can't believe why they would even think that Russia would kill Skripal. If they were going to kill the motherfucker, they would have done it when they had him in prison.
Yeah, he would have beat himself to death in a hotel room.
Well, whatever. Yeah, but I'm just saying the whole this This Skripal poisoning thing is just it's just another, because nobody was buying anymore that they were fucking with our elections, right? I mean, you know, that was already proven.
They weren't buying gas bombs in Syria.
Right. Right.
But they still got to get that gas in there. That gas, that poison.
They're just making Russia's going to be the new boogeyman again, like it was back in the Cold War, right? But it's not going to be a Cold War this time.
Not as in debt as we are now. They better start figuring out where they put all that gold at. They probably know.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure they do. Just like our government knows where all of our gold is, because it ain't in Fort Knox. 10 minutes left. What you got, David?
Now, this story came out yesterday. It says the United States decides to relocate the headquarters of the U.S. Central Military Command from Qatar to Saudi Arabia. They said this deal was struck the other day when Trump met with the king.
The $50 billion talk? Yeah, that was it. That was the $50 billion talk.
And they said we're moving the bases out of Qatar because Qatar is slided more toward Iran. And that Qatar is also allowing, Turkey has a military base there. And since all this tension's been going on with Qatar and the other Arab nations, Turkey's been sending troops there willy-nilly. And so America's like, we're getting out of here now.
I made a mistake earlier. I said Yemen, that we were parked in Yemen, getting our troops out of Yemen. This is a story I'm talking about, pulling our troops out of Qatar. And I misspoke. I said Yemen. I'm sorry about that.
That's all right.
And so
40 lashes with a wet noodle.
They say we're going to move the U.S. Central Military Command then from Qatar to Saudi Arabia. And then also we're moving out of Incirlik. We've already started moving planes to parts of Eastern Europe where we have bases. Now, they're not saying if we're pulling completely out, but they're saying that we are getting out of there. We do have the nukes there still. They haven't touched, unless they did and they haven't said nothing. But they said that this is basically, we can't be there anymore because of the way Turkey's behaving in northern Syria, even though I believe we gave them a pass with Afrin. But now that Turkey wants to square off with us in Manbij, maybe we're like, well, if we're going to go to war with Turkey, we need to get our troops the hell out of Incirlik. And so they're moving out of there, too. And they're talking about that Trump's looking at an old abandoned base, or I don't know if it's abandoned yet. Maybe Greece still uses it, but it's an air base in Greece. He's talking about transferring stuff from Incirlik to this base in Greece.
Greece could use the money.
Oh, well, they can put shit in Germany anywhere. But so the Qatar, if you look at it on a map, Qatar is like the big storage unit place where all the ships gas up and oil up. Qatar is it's just a pipeline end cap is all it is. And I think that we would pull all our troops out of there. Because if we did go to a full-blown world war with Russia, that would be a prime target for Russia, number one. Even if they were still on the side of Iran or whatever, it would still boil down to cutting the pipeline off, and that's how they would do that, right there. If you look at it on a map, it's right across the water from Yemen.
It's a little bitty tit.
And you would think that it would be a great strategic point, but it kind of like Cherry Point down in North Carolina is a great strategic point for ships and stuff, but you don't want all your ships there because all them bombs are kept there. So you don't really want a bunch of crap down in there. I think that's why now as far as the Kurds up running along the border of Manbij and Afrin.
I told you it's his favorite. It's his favorite town.
Yes,
Manbij.
Keep in mind the Kurds are like the Shaolin priests in China. The Kurds are the ones that still speak the old language. So if you ever wondered how the Turkey tolerated them and how Syria tolerated them, because the Kurds were on nobody's side except the Kurds. They consider themselves like the Jews of the damn Middle East, I guess you'd say. But they still speak the old language, and that's why they get That's why they're tolerated and kind of used from both sides, and that's how they still exist. Nobody really wants to kill them.
Well,
If that ties up any loose ends for you.
well, the Manbij stuff, we have troops there along with the SDF, and, Erdogan's been meeting with us this whole last week and telling us, he's like, I want that town. America's like, no, you're not going to have this town. And he's like, well, I'll fight you for it. And America's like, well, we really don't want to fight you, but we will. And I guess our general out there's been making statements on the mainstream media, news, that we're not leaving this place.
What, Manbij or Afrin?
Manbij.
Well,
I'm telling you, man. Nobody's asking the troops.
They're still probably running oil to Turkey. I don't know. There's probably a lot of show there. But Turkey, you're not going to find anybody that's interested in Turkey. The people of Turkey are not interested in hearing about Kurds getting killed. And nobody in Syria, even in ISIS, none of these guys are going to be real happy to hear about Kurds getting killed.
No, this Manbij is mainly about our special forces. We have an outpost there. We have a base there.
And that base consists of a couple of tents and a fucking landing strip.
It's an outpost. It's an outpost. But still, we consider it ours. We got the flag flying above it, and that's where we want to stand. It's over by the Euphrates and everything else, and we want to keep that. And Turkey's like, no, we want it. So it's like Erdogan said the other day. He says we haven't come to an agreement with Manbij, but we've been talking.
Yeah, everybody had to throw their money on the table, and now everybody's grabbing money and grabbing land, and
I'm sure nobody.
Turkey's looking to expand a little bit as well.
I'm sure nobody in all these talks that they're having over who's going to own what and work where and whatever. I'm almost positive that nobody's talking to the soldiers on the ground and asking them, "Hey, man, you want to keep fighting for this? You want to go home?" I mean, you guys have been over there for 15 years or more. Come on, man, this is ridiculous. Our troops are wore the fuck out, man. If you guys want to arm wrestle over the piece of ground or whatever, go ahead and arm wrestle. If you want to have an MMA match in a cage or whatever, sell it on fucking pay-per-view, make yourself a couple of bucks, fight over it that way. Leave our boys go. Let them go home and be with their families. They've been at war entirely too fucking long. You people, with your prick-waving dick fights, you can go do that somewhere else, man. Enough's enough. But I digress. Go ahead, sorry.
Well, there was also talk that the $50 billion with Saudi, that Trump basically has been wanting to wash his hands of Syria before he became president. And that basically he thinks it's going to be $50 billion to help rebuild the place and to keep security there. And that we were going to offer Saudi to take over the security and rebuild the place for $50 billion.
$50 billion.
$50 billion. I thought that they already made a new law that said that we don't have to rebuild anything for anybody.
That's what the story was, and that basically Saudi said no.
We never rebuild Iraq.
And so Trump had stated publicly that he didn't want anything to do with Syria. He never wanted to. He thought it was a stupid war, and that basically Russia and Assad.
Wasn't his war.
No, and I know, and that's what he said. He says, I thought it was a stupid war. And he says, I don't want to have nothing to do with it.
Then why the fuck did he put John Bolton in charge of? Well,
yeah,
right.
Because that ain't going to help out none, Trump. That was a bonehead move right there.
Well, this is what I'm talking about, the hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Trump states publicly he doesn't want anything to do with Syria or the Middle East as far as that goes, except Israel, of course, and that he wanted out of there, and he'd rather concentrate on China because he thinks China's the biggest concern. But his defense minister, Mattis, and his other upper level defense guys told Trump, we just can't pull out of the Middle East. We can't let Russia have it all. And, that's a strategic thing, and that he's been getting upset because they said that Mattis had sat him down a while back and some other guy, H.R. McMaster, and tried to explain to him how it all works. Well, we've got troops in certain places. What's the reason of them being there? What's the security implications?
What do they got? A Stratego board on his desk?
Yeah. Exactly, and Trump got pissed off and said, fuck this, I don't want to be there. And they're like, well, too bad, we've got to be there. And so Trump's been trying to get out of Syria since day one. He doesn't want to have nothing to do with it. And I think if it was up to him, he'd pull our troops out of Manbij and he'd let Turkey have it. But the deal is there's people above him and right below Trump, and the Defense Department says, no, we're not pulling our troops out of there, Mr. President. This is a strategic spot for us. You don't know fuck all. Go run your goddamn hotels and let us run our military.
Oh, I'm sure there's people at the Trilateral Commission that are telling him shit too, and I'm sure there's people at the World Council that are telling him shit too, and there's people at the UN that are telling him shit too. So yeah.
He doesn't know shit about foreign policy.
Fuck no.
You just can't yank troops as bad as you don't want them there. You just can't yank them out after you've been there for fucking ever.
You can't. Yeah. Well. Yeah.
I mean, you could, but there's gonna be some reprisals.
Yep.
And America's been running this world for so long now, we just can't move our chess piece wherever we want it and take it out of there without there being some kind of fallback.
That you just stated with perfect clarity exactly why all this shit is getting ready to come undone.
Yeah, exactly. Because Trump wants to pull us out of everything, and it's not going to go
not
easy.
that, because we've been running the world for too long.
Okay, if this was a chess game, which it has been, a 20-year
y'all done with that ball
chess
hit,
game.
man? That sounds pretty rough over there.
20-year chess game. So now you're at the point of
20.
Yeah.
20.
Well, 60.
Yeah, there you go. That's better. Go ahead.
But you're at the point where you're ready to sacrifice your queen because you're running from checkmate. So what is the queen that we are
Mystery
fixing
Babylon
to sacrifice?
Mystery Babylon. Us, the United States. Mystery Babylon. We are going to be the sacrifice, and the world powers are going to shift. They've already started it up, man. The BRICS wasn't for nothing, people. They started the BRICS for a reason, because when the United States goes down, so does the TLC, the Trilateral Commission, so does the World Bank, because they fund everything in fucking dollars, and the euro is just as weak as the dollar. And when the dollar collapses, the euro is going to collapse. It might even go the other way. It might go the euro first and then us. But yeah, it's done. This has all been planned out, man. It's all been planned out already. We're just basically
Trump's the perfect puppet.
Why? Because he's going to try to work a bankruptcy for the U.S.
Because he's got people believing one thing when you can clearly see he's something else.
Oh, yeah, just like Obama, hope and change, motherfuckers. I'm going to close Guantanamo first week in office.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it'll start with Israel, and it'll start with Israel faking us doing something.
Well,
to kind of show
they're
going to
go bomb Iran.
They're not working for the United States. That they're on their side. As soon as we see Israel start pivoting,
they're going to slip in and bomb Iran. They're already talking about it. They're already talking about what they're going to do.
Who, Israel?
Yeah.
What'd they say?
Well, when we move that embassy on May 12th to Jerusalem officially, that you're going to see Hamas, Hezbollah, and everybody rise up. They're already planning for it.
Yeah, but Israel is not going to be a sacrificial lamb.
No, but
they're Zionists. Yeah, but they still don't want to die.
Hang on.
Build a
Israel
base in Israel.
Hang on. Israel,
thousands of troops there.
Israel doesn't want to be a sacrificial lamb. They might not have a choice.
Right, that's what I'm saying. When you see Israel start pivoting, that's when it's definitely an on, because they're not going to take our side. They're going to frame us up like they always do.
Yeah. Well, stay tuned for the next episode of As the World Turns. I'm sorry. I'd probably get copyright struck for that one. All right, we're out of time, man. It's after 10 o'clock, and Jeff's got to go live over on his channel. So anybody that wants to carry on listening to garbage like this and some of the worst you'll ever find on YouTube, head on over to Break Free TV
channel on YouTube.
Yeah, it's not Break Free TV anymore. It's the llama. What? Tell them where to find you, Jeff.
Here, I'll just say something in chat.
Yeah, the troll truck llama.
Yeah. Hello. There you go.
Troll.
I know. I don't have a wrench in his chat. I don't know why.
Troll truck llama, legendary. The legendary.
No, it's the legendary troll truck llama.
Oh.
But it's the first name, last name thing.
Uh-huh.
and I didn't get it right, and I can't change it.
Damn it.
Damn it. That's okay.
All right. So if you guys want to hear some more of this drivel, carry on over there. I'm not going to go on over there tonight because I'm done talking for a while. Did my 2 hours, that shit.
Oh my
But
God.
anyway, you can hear some more Jeff. And Lori Gale might be on over there too or something. She's
Oh
sexy.
my God, Laura Gale. I hate Laura Gale.
All right. But in the meantime, thanks, David. Thanks,
Yeah.
Lance. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate
Oh,
you
there was
guys.
somebody else in here?
Oh, yeah. Lance,
He's real quiet. He just sits in the back.
What's his name?
Lance Musser. He's my sidekick, actually. The one that never talks.
Can Lance say something before we go?
I did.
He does, but he usually does it in mime, which doesn't really work really well on the radio, but it's hard to explain that to him, so I just let it go.
I would let him sign off.
Sign off, Lance.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I thought he was going to just hang up from the call. Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Oh, well, have a good night.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you, man. You work hard.
Yeah, man.
You work hard. You add to the show so much. It's just
Hey, man, Dave gets to talk the whole time. And then I like this guy. He was making me crack up the whole time in the background. So luckily I had it on mute.
yeah. Mood helps with the bong hits too. That way, when you start coughing and hacking and stuff.
Oh, it was. I was coughing. If you ain't choking, you ain't choking.
That's right.
All right. See you guys.
Yeah.
There we go. I'm going to do the silent partner song again on the way out, just because that's what I'm going to play today. So if you don't want to hang around for that one, you guys can go ahead and click on over to Jeff's or whatever you got to do. Other than that, you guys know how I finish it. Seek the face of God. Love, peace, and cookies.